Hey, what's up my people, IceRestrict12 here, and today I'm bringing you my updated Relinquished deck profile for this new format. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know Relinquished is by far my favorite monster, and every now and then I like to update the deck with whatever cards come out that can work with it. Now, this time we decided to go ahead and update my Relinquished deck with Branded. That's right, we're gonna go ahead and splash some Branded in there. Now, you might be wondering, okay, I can see Relinquished working with Kaijus, but Branded? There is a little bit of synergy in there. Well, first of all, they're both fusion strategies, meaning that when you activate the Branded cards, they won't lock you out of your Relinquish because you can still go into it. It is a fusion monster. The other thing is that Branded Fusion can help you set up the graveyard with either Relinquish, so that you can activate Relinquish Fusion since it fuses from the graveyard, or you can also dump the Golden Idol. When it's dumped into the graveyard or banished, is going to allow you to equip an opponent's monster to a Relinquish or a Restrict monster, or you can also set up, for instance, a Millennium Eyes Illusionist, so that when you ritual summon into your Relinquish, it adds to your hand. So there is a little bit of synergy in there. We're still keeping the Kaiju engine. We're never going to get rid of that because tributing your opponent's monsters is really the only hope that you have of being somewhat competitive in this new Yu-Gi-Oh environment. So with that out of the way, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at my updated Relinquish Kaiju Branded build, and let's get started. Very well, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first card I want to talk about is the main card of the deck. We're going to go ahead and run 3 Relinquish. The reason why you want to run 3 is because we are going to be using it as a ritual monster, but also as material to go into our as Restrict Fusion monsters. Now we are going to play 2 copies, I'm sorry, not 2 copies, we're going to play 3 copies of Millennium Eyes Illusionist. The reason why is because this card is not searchable, but it's very good. You want to have it in your hand to be able to quick effect equip monsters your opponent controls to your Relinquish or Eyes Restrict Fusion monsters, but also so that you can ritual summon Relinquish and get that card back. Now we are going to play 1 copy of Golden Eyes Idol. The reason we play only 1 is because we already have the normal summon being taken over by another card that I'm going to talk about later. This card, we are going to be dumping it into the graveyard to gain the equip effect. We're going to do it with Foolish Burial. We're going to go ahead and banish it with Allure of Darkness. We're going to go ahead and banish it as well with the Relinquish Fusion. We're going to dump it to the graveyard with Branded Fusion. So there are different ways to get this card into the graveyard to get the effect. And the other reason we play it is because we're going to be going into Relinquish Anima with this card as well. Now, we play 3 copies of Radiant, the multi-dimensional Kaiju. And the reason why we play 3 copies is because it is a Dark Attribute Kaiju. We are playing a Allure of Darkness, so we want to max out on the Dark Attribute ones. That always guarantees that you're going to be able to draw more cards. We also play a Jizakura and a Thunder King. The reason why is because they are light attribute monsters that are going to help you with Branded Fusion, and also because they are the biggest Kaijus. And again, you start to see here a little bit of synergy between Relinquish and Branded. We're going to play 2 Aliver, Gesture of Despia, because you're trying to get that Branded Fusion, and also because it, the negate an opponent's monster's effect comes into play every now and then, but mainly because this is going to be a searcher for us. We are playing 2 Albas because we want to super poly your opponent's monsters, but also it is part of the Branded engine. You need at least 2. You don't want 3 because you don't want to break on it, but you want to make sure there's always 1 in deck or in hand to go into your Branded plays. We are going to play 1 Despian Tragedy. Again, this is a card that we can dump into the graveyard or banish it with, Relinquish Fusion, with Branded Fusion, and it just helps us look for Aliber, which will help us look for the Branded Fusion card. Now, and we play 1 Manju of the 10,000 Hands. This helps the Relinquish and the Branded strategy. The Branded, because it's it's another light monster that can be used as material, but it also helps the Relinquish strategy by being able to get us either Relinquish or the ritual spell card that we need to be able to go into our plays. Now, we play 3 copies of Relinquish Fusion. This card right here is broken, is quick effect, and it allows us to fuse from hand, field, or graveyard. So we can even use something like Foolish Burial to dump a Relinquish into the graveyard, and boom, go into our Millennium Eyes monsters. Now, we also play 3 copies of Branded Fusion. This card is broken, is going to be able to help us get into our Branded Fusion monsters, but also whatever is sent to the graveyard is kind of set up to go into other plays. So you can set up a Millennium Eyes Illusionist, you can throw Golden Eyes Idol in the graveyard, you can throw Relinquish in the graveyard to just keep the plays going. We are going to play 3 Allure of Darkness because, again, we want to be able to draw more cards, and most of the cards in our deck are going to be Dark Attribute, so we're never going to be, worried that, oh man, I might not have a dark attribute to banish, it's always live. We're gonna go ahead and play pre-preparation of rights, because again, the focus of the strategy is relinquish. We want to be able to search it. We're gonna go ahead and play 1 preparation of rights just for the late game when there's already a ritual spell in the graveyard, and we just need to get that plus a relinquish. We're gonna go ahead and play 2 copies of Black Pollution Ritual. You don't want 3 because you're running 3 pre-preparation of rights, and also it can be a little bricky every now and then. Sometimes you get relinquish and you don't even special summon him onto the field. You go straight into a Ice Restrict Fusion monster with it, so you sometimes will be just using it as material. We're gonna go ahead and play 3 Interrupted Kaiju Slumbers. I love this card. I don't know why, but I feel every time I play this card, I end up winning the duel. Just wipes the field clean, because remember, this is a go in second strategy. You don't want to go first, you want to go second. You're going to wipe the field clean, you're going to give your opponent a Kaiju, you're going to take one Kaiju, and then you're going to take your opponent's Kaiju with your relinquish monsters, get a branded on the field, and should be enough to, kill your opponent in 1 turn. Now, we are also going to play an Instant Fusion. This is just to get a 1000 Ice Restrict and absorb one of your opponent's monsters, but every now and then, if you're kind of afraid your opponent has like a hand trap or something like that, you can go into Millennium Ice Restrict to set up some protection and then go into your place. We're gonna play 1 Call by the Grave because any time that you can mess with your opponent's graveyard, it's a good thing. But also because you want your place to resolve, and you want to stop the ashes, you want to stop the Veilers, that kind of stuff. We're gonna play 1 Foolish Burial. This is how we set the graveyard. We can throw Relinquish, we can throw Golden Eyes Idol, we can throw Golden Eyes Illusionist, we can throw Thespian Tragedy. There's a lot of cards you can throw in there to gain advantage, and this is just kind of a little cherry on top of the pie. It's just to clear some back row. And finally, guys, we're gonna talk about the extra deck. Now, for the extra deck, we are playing 2 copies of Millennium Ice Restrict. A lot of people play 3, but realistically, you're very rarely ever gonna need 3. I say, on average, I'll say I'll need the 3rd one, maybe 1 out of like 25 games. So I think there's, I can make space for something else. So 2 is the right amount. You play 1 copy of 1000 Ice Restrict. You're rarely ever gonna go into them the right way, with the fusion card. Most of the time, you're just gonna use Instant Fusion to absorb a monster your opponent controls, then turn it into a relinquished anima, and then absorb a second monster your opponent controls. Or you can set up Millennium Ice Restrict just for protection as well. We are going to play 2 Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon, broken card. This is the card that you're always trying to go into. The whole branded strategy is just focused on bringing this card. It's going to allow you to wipe the field if it leaves the field, but it's also going to allow you to dump other cards into the graveyard that have effects that can get you like, the branded fusion, that kind of stuff, and banish a monster your opponent controls in the process. We're gonna go into Albion, the Branded Dragon. This right here is just to bring out Mirror Jade, and then 1 Lubellion. You can either do 2 Lubellions and 1 Albion, or vice versa. They both kind of work, to be honest with you. You're gonna go ahead and play 2 Relinquish Anima because you have the Thespian Tragedy, you have all the Relinquish, you have Golden Eyes Idol that you can go into this card to absorb an extra monster. And remember, if you dump Golden Idol, you are able to equip a second card to this card because it says to a relinquish monster, not to relinquish. You can also equip another card to relinquish because it's equipped by the Golden Eyes Idol, not by relinquish's own effect, as Millennium Ice Solutionist states. We're gonna go ahead and play 1 Black Blister Soldier and Soldier of Chaos because sometimes you will have enough monsters to make it. We're gonna play 1 Link Karibo for anytime you need to get rid of a level 1. And you need to take more of a defensive stance. We're going to do Krashi because you are playing a good variety of extra deck monsters. You're playing a good variety of different monsters, so you're playing fusions, you're playing rituals, so you can get some benefit out of it. Some Nightmare Phoenix for just your generic back row removal. And since we are playing a lot of dark attribute monsters, we're going to go ahead and play 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice. Alright guys, and with that out of the way guys, this is my updated Relinquished Kaiju branded deck. If you liked the video guys, please go ahead and give me a like, subscribe, and I will be catching you in the next one.